Okay, class, we're starting section 5.1 through 5.3, Introduction to Decimals. Section A, writing decimals as fractions. Now, I took the liberty of filling in these empty boxes that you have on your course pack because when I write on this, it skips. So I just took the liberty of filling this out. If it's in red letters or if you see a group of numbers that are larger than the rest, then that lets you know that is what I put in. So the first thing here, we started off with 0.3. Now we know the first place behind the decimal is the tenths place, 10 ending in THS. So what we did here was we wrote down what we see. We see 3 and then the word tenths. Now you see I had made a mistake and wrote this little line and how it jumped. That's what it would have done had I wrote all of this out. So it'd be 0.3, which is 3 tenths, and our fraction is 3 over 10. Okay, now we start off here with the words. We add 34 hundredths. That means there's no number in front of the decimal. So that means that this 4 here must be in the hundredths place. So that's why we get 0.34, because this is tenths and hundredths. Now we need to write that as a fraction. 34 hundredths is 34 over 100. And now we simplify this. We divide the numerator and denominator by 2, and that gives us 17 over 50. Now we go down here, we have our fraction, which is 7 over 1,000. Now this is 7 thousandths with a THS. And then written as a decimal, we need this 7 in the thousandths place. So we go tenths, hundredths, thousandths, and the 7 is in the thousandths place, 0.007. Now we start off with 0.25. There's no numbers in front of the decimal, so we know it's just 25 hundredths because the last place value here is hundredths. So now we write this as a fraction. So we will add 25 over 100, and we know 25 divides into both of these evenly, and that leaves you with 1/4. Now we come down here to section D. It says we round decimal numbers the same way we round whole numbers. Locate the place value in question and look at the next digit to decide whether to round up or down. It says round as requested. Water bills and Mexia are always rounded to the nearest dollar. Round a water bill of $24.62 to the nearest dollar. Now we know the nearest dollar is the first place value after to the left of the decimal. So this is 4. So we look to the right of this 4 and we notice we have a 6. We know if it's 5 to 9, we will add 1 to this 4, or if it's 0 to 4, we will leave the 4 the same. So since 6 falls in the 5 through 9 category, this becomes $25. So $25 is the rounded value. So we could say that $25, we could do an approximation symbol to show that it's approximately $25. And that will be it for that problem. Okay, now we come here to our example. It said add, subtract, or multiply as indicated. Now, if you notice, we have these estimate boxes. Usually, a lot of times, if you estimate your answer before you do any of the operations, a lot of times you will get a close enough feel of what your answer should be. So here we have 19.52 plus 5.371. What I typically would do is I will round to the nearest, I will round to the ones place. So 19.52 would become 20, and 5.371 would be 5. So 20 plus 5 is 25. Okay, so now let's add them up as they are. First thing we would do is we would write down 19.52. We will line up this decimal here and we'll have 5.371. And we will add. Now remember, the place values have to line up, and we will add a 0 here, so we will have just as many numbers behind the decimal at the top and the bottom. So 0 plus 1 is 1, 2 plus 7 is 9, 5 plus 3 is 8, 9 plus 5 is 14, carry a 1, 1 plus 1 is 2. So 24.891 is approximately 25, but this right here is your final answer. Now we come here to number 2. Let's do the same thing. Estimate. Estimate to the nearest whole number. So 0.125 would be 0. And then 422.8 will be about 423. So it'll be 423. Now we add this. We add 0.125. And then we will have 422.8. And we'll add 2 zeros. Now we add them. 5 plus 0 is 5. 2 plus 0 is 2. 1 plus 8 is 9. Bring down your decimal. 0 plus 2 is 2. Bring down the 2 and the 4. So our final answer is 422.925, which is approximately 423. Now we go here to number 3. We estimate. Let's estimate this to the nearest whole number. This would be 7 minus 4, which is 3. Now we can set this up. We have 6.7 minus 3.92. You have to add a 0 here. Now we have to borrow 1 from this 7 to make it 6, and this 0 will become 10. 10 minus 2 is 8. We cannot subtract 9 from 6, so we borrow 1 from this 6, make it a 5, and then 6 becomes 16. 16 minus 9 is 7. Bring down your decimal. 5 minus 3 is 2. And our final answer is 2.78, which is close to 3. Now, we have 6.4 times 3.7. We'll round this to the nearest whole number. This will be 6 times 4, which will be about 24. Now, listen. How I would tell you all to multiply decimals. This is what you should do. First, let's get rid of the decimals. We could go up here because we're going to need some space. So we drop the decimal. So we'll take 64 times 37. Now let's multiply. 7 times 4 is 28. 7 times 6 is 42 plus 2 is 44. Add a 0. 3 times 4 is 12. Carry a 1. 3 times 6 is 18 plus 1 is 19. Now we add them together. This would be 8, 6. This would be 13, carry a 1. So we add 2,368. Now we count the total amount of digits that we have behind the decimal. And I'm saying from both numbers. We have 1 here and 1 here. So we have a total of 2. So our final answer must have 2 digits behind the decimal. So our final answer would be 23.68. Now we come down here to number 5. Now we don't need to estimate here. Let's just try what you just learned here. Let's drop these decimals and we'll take 9 times 6. 9 times 6 we know is 54. Now we count how many digits we have behind the decimal here. We have 1, we have 2. So our final answer must have 2 digits behind the decimal. So we'll put our decimal here and a 0 here. So it'll be 0.54. Now I'm going to add in a 6th problem here. I know this is not in your course pack, but you may want to take a look at this. What if we had 0.09 times 0.6? Now, according to what I showed you here, you still would drop the decimal, and it'll still be 9 times 6, which is 54. Okay, now, we have 3 digits behind the decimal here. So that means we must have 3 digits behind the decimal. But we only have 2 digits here as our answer. So we'll add a 0 in front, then our decimal, then another 0. And this would be our final answer. And that is it from this section.